At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Empower.
Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Professor Chris G, and on the other line with me is my brand new traveling buddy, good old Dougie Man. Dougie Fresh, how you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm sick. That is what I am right now. I'm sick.
Is that your excuse?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, man. Took me a second. You're not going to hear it on this feed, but I didn't have a nickname for Doug this week. So, yeah. That
wasn't easy.
No.
You know, you always gave me shit. It's not easy, is it?
Nope. But so how you doing, brother?
I'm good. You know, today was like the first like hot walk. Like, I mean, and it wasn't too bad. It was like in the 80s, but it was like consistent.
Yeah.
And like I had like no cloud cover, so today was probably the first like decent sweat of the summer. So.
Oh, that's good, man. That's real good. Yeah, me on the other hand, I have some yard work that I'm gonna probably be getting down and dirty after we're done doing the podcast here today, and so I'll be doing that. But because it's hot today, but it's supposed to be raining all day and thunderstorming tomorrow, real time for us, not for you listening on the podcast. But yeah, we're getting rain all day tomorrow. So yeah, I will be gardening and doing all that stuff after the podcast here today, and then we'll be recording tomorrow as well. I believe we're doing Horizon today, and if I'm remembering correctly, we're doing the beginning of Johto tomorrow as a mashup.
I'm glad you said something. I am thrilled that you said something, because I was fixing to watch the next two Horizons, and then we get on here tomorrow, and you'd be like, "So Johto," and I'd be like, "What about it?"
That would have been a fun podcast. But yeah, so next week, from you listening to this, you'll be getting your first mashup of the first 4 episodes of Johto. So I know our audience is real excited that we'll be going back to our roots. I know that they're enjoying these Horizons that we're doing right now, which is good. But we also, we're not going to say what it is. If you want to scrub through because you're impatient, you can. But we have an announcement at the end of our podcast today.
Yes, I think we're far enough along in the process that, you know, stuff is finally kind of moving forward, and we're comfortable enough to kind of let the cat peek its head out of the bag. It's not going to get completely out.
Yeah, not completely. But we have been talking about a secret project here on the show that we're kind of doing behind the scenes, and we're going to reveal a teaser at the end of this episode today. So you'll be able to hear a small teaser of this project that we have going on. No official date yet as to the release of this project, but it is coming this upcoming summer, sometime this summer. So, right?
Yes, that's right. I'll bite the bullet. Coming soon, the official E-Peep OnlyFans.
Stop. No. Yeah, maybe for you.
Naked podcast.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Doug, no. Put it back on, Doug. But yes, everyone. But yeah, you can hear that at the end of this episode. At the very end, you'll be able to hear the nice little teaser that we have. And I'm excited. I'm really excited because as of the Johto episode, we can talk about it just a little bit. So, but we can't say too much right now until you guys hear it. And we want you to be able to hear it. Don't just go to the ending and come back, you impatient Pokemon fans.
Because we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know. Get back here.
You see, Doug? You see, Casey just did it. Casey just went to the goddamn end of the podcast because he was very impatient. And there goes Jason. Look at that.
Just for that, we're going to corrupt your file, and you're not going to get the rest of this podcast.
Shake my head.
Impatient. I don't care if there is a 30-second skip button. Quit scrubbing, would you? Knock it off.
I know. Well, I blame you, Doug. You told our people about listening to our podcast on 2 times.
That's the only way I do it. I cannot do I cannot do a regular speed. Strangely enough, I can't go 2 times on my books, though.
Which makes sense, but okay. So I want to ask you this. So listening to a podcast on 2 times, it kind of morphs the voices though a little bit.
Nah.
What do you mean, nah? It pitches it higher. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't either.
It does too. The voices are a little higher. You're not hearing the authentic voice of the person.
You're drunk.
I might be. But all right, everyone. So we are doing episodes 5 and 6, which should kind of breeze along today, quite honestly, because these episodes...
Oh, that's the kiss of death when we do these shows.
Well, these episodes blend into one another, and instead of going scene by scene, and we can kind of talk about a little bit of what's going on, I mean, this should be pretty simple, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, you're right. I hope so. So the 2 episodes that we are doing today are Found You Fuecoco, or translated from Japanese, I Found You Hogator. And the next episode after that is The Ancient Poké Ball, or translated from Japanese, The Ancient Monster Ball.
Oh, well, you know. Say what you will about the Japanese animations. It's efficient.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, they're keeping up with it to some extent, as opposed to having 2 completely different titles from Japanese and English, like we have back in the original series.
Oh, for real. But and that's a shame, because some of the original titles, I was like, I kind of prefer that. I mean, once in a while, not like every other week, but yeah, these episodes are pretty chill. They're pretty laid back. We dive it more into some of the explorers in these episodes. We find out the boss of the explorers freaking doesn't play for shit. So yeah, I'm excited to go over these episodes. Yeah.
All right. So are you ready to kind of dive into these?
Absolutely.
All right. So we're gonna start with Found You Fuecoco, Episode 5 of Pokemon Horizons. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the nice little recap on here. And this episode kind of starts off with, I don't like the, okay, is it just me, or does Roy look funny at the very beginning of this episode?
Well, I mean, you heard my thoughts on. It's not letting me skip the recap. This is bullshit. I was trying to be slick about it. It wouldn't let me be slick. You know my thoughts. I'm not the biggest fan of Roy to begin with.
Yeah, I know, but I think you'll end up liking him. I mean, you kind of have to end up liking him at some point.
Well, no, I could grit my teeth and call him this whole show, but I won't.
So, but yeah, Roy starts off this episode by he's running and he sees the Rising Volt Tackler's ship, and he sneaks aboard this damn ship, and unbeknownst to him, but Pikachu is right there and goes and just kicks him straight in the head and just knocks him down.
Cap, what happened? Roy? Pikachu!
Busted! Cap, excellent work.
Hey there, Mr. Freed. Good to see ya. And you too, Liko.
You guys know this kid?
Yeah, we had a run-in with him earlier today. He was helping Liko and I out.
That's right. His name's Roy.
See Roy on the ground. They're like, Roy, what are you doing here? And he kind of goes through like a little explanation of, yeah, I can't get Fuecoco out of my head, and I want Fuecoco to be my friend. Liko kind of chimes in a little bit, and she's like, oh, so you want Fuecoco to be your partner, your Pokemon, your everything. And he's like, yeah, I guess I kind of do. And Freed sits here and he's like, you know, that's all good and dandy and all, but you're missing the main ingredient of this whole thing, how Fuecoco feels. And Roy's like, oh, yeah. And he looks around. He's like, well, does anyone know where Fuecoco is? And everyone's like, yeah, I'm going back to sleep. Why don't you go and get some rest? And Liko's like, I can help you find him. So everyone else starts going back and they start going to sleep and all. And Liko and Roy are searching all around the ship trying to find Fuecoco. And Roy's even singing to try to find him. They look in the kitchen. They look on the deck and no luck. So I'm going to hand this part over to you, my brother, at 4 minutes and 50 seconds into the episode.
So we see that we do finally see that Fuecoco has kind of stored himself away, and he's just snoring. He's dead to the world. And, you know, they're out on the battleground, and they're looking up at the stars and the moon, and we got a nice shot of the half moon, and then Liko and Roy are kind of going over the logistics about, you know, what do I do if Fuecoco doesn't, you know, want to go along with me? And, you know, Liko's kind of sitting there going, I kind of went through the same thing with Sprigatito, and I often find myself sitting here kind of trying to figure out what Sprigatito's thinking about on a daily basis, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that that's impossible because, I mean, we've seen in the episodes that we've covered, Sprigatito is kind of a free spirit. I mean, what was it, the second episode she spent pretty much walking all over the campus? They all fucking...
They blend together. I believe that was the first episode.
Was it the first? Yeah, because the shit didn't hit the fan till the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And, Liko's sitting there going, I just try to focus on kind of having an open communication with Sprigatito and, try to get on the same page. And Roy's like, I think I get it. He just starts singing, and Liko's like, seriously, the cat's asleep. I'm trying, I should be in bed. And Roy's just singing his heart out, and then we have a fade, and then...
It's morning.
Roy's sitting there like, I slept like a log, and we cut to Orla.
Yeah, she's tired because she's been trying to patch up all of the gas leaks in the ship all night, and she says she's basically stretching the material because they have very little material. So when she fixes one and she's trying to stretch another one on another piece, it creates another hole, and she was fighting holes all night.
So yeah, she's exhausted. Freed's not sympathetic. He's like, well, that doesn't sound like fun. And he's like, you'll have to figure something out. Or he says we, but he basically
means you. go
he's throwing that on her. What the fuck was Roy doing? He doesn't technically have a place on the ship. Why wasn't he fucking doing the grunt work? At least earn his keep while he stowed away.
Well, nobody told him that that's what she was doing. So I mean, that would honestly be pretty mean to have him come and sit on the ship and just say, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna put you to work all night to help us since you're here." We do get another Needle thing entry.
How do you feel about these Needle things? I mean, because I'm kind of over them because they're kind of basic.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that's kind of, especially if this is your first Pokemon series, but like, they're talking about catching Pokemon and battling, and
the first Pokeball was made out of apricorns.
Oh yeah,
that was a part of it. She said, you gotta love how advanced technology is, and they even referenced the Master Ball.
This'll really move ya! If you want to catch a wild Pokemon, well then there's one thing you absolutely gotta have! A Poké Ball! But that's just part of it! A Pokemon only wants a trainer who's right for them. In other words, you and your Pokemon need to be besties! By the way, you know what Pokeballs were made out of in the olden days? Apricorns! Big surprise, right? But thanks to technical advancements, we now have things like the Lure Ball, the comfort of how I imagined the Luxury Ball, and the one able to catch any Pokemon out there, the Master Ball! There's all kinds of Pokeballs! The power of science is amazing!
Was this a nod to Legends Arceus? Because I know...
Yes.
I was going to say, because I know crafting was a big part of that, and I know,
Well, I mean, yes and no. So, even... And you probably remember, slightly, but you played Ruby and Sapphire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, in Ruby and Sapphire, that's where they kind of introduce... No, it was Gold and Silver. It was Gold and Silver, because it was in the Johto. You get the apricorn trees, and you pick the apricorns up, and you use those to make your fast balls, your time balls, your dusk balls, your all the different type of balls. I forgot what the water one was called. But
so Lure Ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lure Ball. And you use the apricorns to create those. And you would go to this man, and the man would craft you up these nifty little Pokeballs, but he would only craft one per day for you.
Right. I remember that. Okay.
Yes.
So that was a reference to going further back than I thought, because my mind immediately went to Arceus, because I think you showed me a screenshot of the quote unquote original Pokeball, and it was kind of looks like what Roy's got, and that's a bit of a spoiler for the next part of this.
A little bit. It does look similar, but the only difference is the original ball looks like it's completely made out of wood.
Right.
So, but yeah, Needle Thing goes in and tells you about all the Pokeballs and how cool the insides of some of these Pokeballs are, and that catching some of these Pokemon, you can catch them inside, and you can even use a Master Ball, which has 100% success rate. So the Master Ball is a thing, and people know about it.
They haven't messed with that in subsequent games, have you? Where like, oh, this Pokemon's so strong, it took me 2 Master Balls.
No. Nope.
Okay, good.
Master Balls is a 100% catch guarantee.
Okay.
Just like in the original.
And just for the people that are watching the episode along with us, what Pokemon was caught in the Master Ball at the end of the video?
A Raikou.
So there you go. You don't get who's that Pokemon anymore, but you get random shit like that.
Yep. Legendary Pokemon dog Raikou. So, which goes along with Entei and Suicune. There you go. I was like, I know they had Suicune on the cover of what, Crystal version?
Yes.
And Crystal version was cool because Crystal version legit came in a glitter case with freaking blue and stuff all over it. It was so cool.
Back when physical games actually mattered.
Yeah, for real. But so we see that Liko was watching Needle Thing, and we have Roy over here trying to put berries down to try to find Fuecoco. And as he is putting these berries down, Molly walks into the room and goes, "Roy, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just laying down some treats for Fuecoco." And she's basically like, "All right, get up." And he's like, "Okay." So they go into town, and they're shocked to see that the old village elder is Roy's grandfather, who we saw an episode or two ago where he didn't want to help out Freed when Freed needed some help to come over there. And he's like, and he looks over at Roy and he's like, "Where the fuck is my mouse?" There we go. And he's like, "Urgh." And then that's where we see Fuecoco again, just sleeping in a random box on the ship. So I'm going to hand this part over to you, brother.
Bro, I had that same problem with my mouse last night. I'm telling you.
It was everywhere but on the screen. Like the video was playing, but I couldn't have the mouse over it. I was like, what is going on here?
Bro, I'm telling you, I was convinced it died, and I was like, I don't know if I have fucking AAA batteries anymore. So Fuecoco wakes up, and you can see he's kind of groggy, and he sees the berries that Roy laid out, and he was like, "Oh shit!" And then Molly pokes her head around the corner, like, "Oh, that's where you've been this whole time." And then she's like, "Oh, Roy left those berries for you because he thought you might want some." And Fuecoco's kind of like, "Maybe that kid's not so bad." And he goes running, and
he's like, "Oh, where's Roy? Where's Roy?"
And he goes out the door, and he gets off the ship.
As it's rolling. The ship was rolling.
To be fair, it wasn't that high off the ground, and I mean they were basically docked.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so he just takes off, and then we cut back, and Grandpa is fit to be tied. He's like, "What do you mean my grandson's been stowing away on your ship without my permission?" And it's like, "Well, I think you just kind of covered it there, fella." And Freud's like, oh, it's just, don't all boys, you know, go wandering off in the middle of the night and get on strange ships? It's like we all do. And um they're kind of like, well, don't be so hard on him. And the elder just gets up and he walks away. And he's like, well, I guess, I feed you, I suppose. And you get this nice tray and some milk for.
He did not look like he wanted to give away this food.
No, and I mean it's a nice little spread.
Yeah.
And like, I guess you eat something, and he's got some milk for Sprigatito, and Freed calls him a softie, and the elder's like, oh, so what's up with your ship now? And Freed's like, well, you see, the thing about that,
we have we have gas leaks,
which isn't safe.
I mean, it's okay.
It's not great.
It's not great.
It's okay.
But so Freed's in the middle of telling Grandpa about the gas leaks, and then he looks at the food and notices the food looks like a caterpie and a weedle,
which was a true observation, but it's still kind of random.
Just a little bit.
And he's like, oh, but if we had a weedle and a caterpie, we could use their silk or whatever as like a webbing kind of to patch the holes. And Free's like, you got it. And Roy's like, well, maybe Scyther can help as well. And then some villagers come in because they're like, oh, we've been waiting around forever, and you're just out here having a picnic. And we see a wide array of Pokemon, and we kind of see like the inner workings of the town, like how they operate. And Freed's like, oh, I suppose we could have lunch. And then we cut back, and Fuecoco's still looking for Roy. He's looking, and he goes to a hideout, and he's not there. But then he sees another one of the berries. And then he goes back to where the ship was, and the ship's not there. And then the poor fellow loses his berry, and he ends up face down in the sand. And then he sees another ship, and who is it but the explorers?
Yes, the explorers are looking for the rising boat tacklers. And if you remember from the previous episode, they put a tracking device on the rising boat tacklers. So they're trying to find the ship, but wherever the rising boat tackler ship is not giving away a good signal. So they're in the water looking around this island, and you hear one of them go, well, it doesn't look like they're here. And Amethio goes, he's like, they're here, and we're close, and we're going to find them. So we go straight from that, and we're back with Freed, the elder, and Liko, and they're over here talking about all of these Pokemon that are over around the area, and then you look up into the sky, and we see that one of the explorers is on his Skymory, and he's found our rising boat tacklers. And he's like, yes. He's like, we found the targets, and they're not even on the ship. And let's see, the girl from the rising boat tacklers. Her name is Kanya. She's like, well, let's just go and take the ship hostage. And Amethyl he's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, I'm not gonna give them another chance to slip away. I'm gonna go in there and find a way to get that pendant, and that's all we're going to end up doing. So he sends out his Corviknight, and Fuecoco is watching this whole thing, and he's like, oh crap, this is not good. And so he goes running back over so he can go and tell Roy kind of what's going on. And he's all muddied up, and he finds Roy, Freed, and Liko, and Fuecoco's like, oh my god, I gotta tell you something, but you can't understand me, but I really need to tell you something. And he's pointing at the sky, and they don't see anything of what's going on, but they see some clouds rolling in for what looks like it's going to be a really nasty storm. And they all start heading back over towards the ship, and then that's when the explorers start flying in. And they're like, oh crap, it's the explorers again. We got to get everyone off the ship. And they go and race off the ship. We cut back over to Roy and Liko, and he's like, what did you need to tell me? And he's like, where were you hiding? I've been looking all over for you. And Fuecoco is giving him a hug. He's like, oh my gosh, you need to understand me. Please understand me. I need to tell you something. And all of a sudden, you just see a big boom. And you see an explosion. Oh, no, you don't see the explosion yet. You see the Corviknight in the air. And they're like, oh my God, it's the explorers. And that's when Freed and Pikachu and Charizard fly in, and they're like, let's take this down to the ground. And he's like, Amethyl, he's like, we got to stop meeting like this. And Amethyl's like, well, if you give me the pendant, we won't have to worry about this anymore. And then they get into their normal thing. And, if this was me, Doug, and Freed is sitting here and he's telling Amethyl, well, let's have another Pokemon battle. If I'm Amethyl, I'm like, we've had 3 Pokemon battles, and every single Pokemon battle ends in you running away from me. I'm not having another Pokemon battle. We're done with these Pokemon battles.
Yeah, seriously, I'm not going to waste my energy when I know all our battles so far have only been distraction techniques.
Yeah. So one of the we're out on the field or we're out on the beach, and Kanya and Zur sends out his Rhydon using Rock Smash all over the place. Kanya looks back and she's like, well, Free came in another direction, and we get back and we're back with Roy and Fuecoco. And Roy is talking about we need all these Pokemon over here in the forest, and I need you guys to help patch some things on the ship. He's like, can I get you guys to help out? And all the Pokemon are like, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. So he starts running away, and then Kanya steps into the frame. But Kanya comes in to stop Roy from being able to go over and help out on the ship. But Liko is like, I got this, Roy. Just go and get these Pokemon back over to the ship. And Liko is like, okay, Kanya, you want to battle? I have my Sprigatito. Are you ready? And Kanya's like, just hand over the pendant. And she's like, not today, not ever. And this is when we go back over to the sand, the sandy beach, and you see that there's been a Pokemon battle going on, and Metagross has taken a beating, but it looks like he has beaten over Rhydon, and they've gotten all the wild Pokemon over to safety. and they're running back up onto the ship. But now it's Corviknight versus Charizard. And we're back up on the ship now, and all the wild Pokemon, Scyther, Caterpie, and Weedle, they're patching up all the gas leaks that they have up on the ship, and it's fixing it. And the ship is now able to float again. And this is when Molly sends out her Chansey. Oh, and I guess Rhydon is still there. Rhydon and Chansey are battling, and Rhydon keeps using its Rock Smash.
It really doesn't. Rhydon, go! Use Rock Blast!
Use Air Slash!
Send it back!
Wait, Coco, are you okay?
Now, use Flamethrower!
You want to battle like Charizard, don't you, Fuecoco? Okay, we got this. Get Chansey to safety.
Right, thanks, Roy.
Let's show them what we're made of. Are you ready, Fuecoco? Use Ember!
You see Fuecoco watching Corviknight and Charizard battle, and Fuecoco's like, I want to be like you one day. I'm going to be like you one day. And Fuecoco's like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And let's see. Fuecoco is trying to use Ember, but he can't. And
a little cough comes out of it, and it, nothing. And, friggin' Freed is getting kind of distracted because he's trying to watch out for Roy because Roy doesn't know what he's doing. And Amethio basically says as much, like, hey, I'm kicking your ass. Quit being distracted. And Freed's like, oh, I can keep my attention on two things at once. No, he can't. And, poor Fuecoco just is not having any luck with the Ember. He, and Lico's sitting there and she's like, we can be right down. And we see that Golduck and Kanya have been dealt with, and Lico's sitting there talking to Roy, and she's like, I know you can do this. And poor freaking Fuecoco is just sputtering and he's not having a good time. And Roy's like, well, here's a shot. And he starts singing, go, go, Fuecoco.
Go! Go! Fuecoco! That's one way! Go! Fuecoco! Go! Go! Fuecoco! You gotta know I believe in you! Go! Go! Fuecoco! You can do anything, go for it! Do it! Fuecoco! You gotta know I believe in you! Do it! Fuecoco! You can do anything, go for it! Go! Go! Fuecoco! Now you're feeling good, just do your best! Go! Go! Fuecoco! This is it, Fuecoco! Now use Ember! You did it, Fuecoco! You're awesome!
They understand each other through song?
finally gets that one Ember out. And it was a strong Ember.
It was a strong, well, it should have been. He was hyping it up for 5 minutes.
More of a flamethrower than an Ember attack.
And for some strange reason, that knocked the right arm back. Like, Fuecoco, he could have been that high up in terms of level.
No, he's not.
I mean, I kind of call shenanigans. And, you know, frickin', we cut back to Freed and Amethio, and Amethio kind of pulls a Freed, and he dips out and kicks up a windstorm, and
sends Corviknight over to Liko to go and grab the pendant, and then that's how we end this episode.
That's the episode. So if this was on a weekly schedule, I'd be kind of pissed.
No, that's a good way. That's a real good way to do a cliffhanger.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've had some good cliffhangers. I mean, the first episode was a good cliffhanger. I mean, literally, I mean, I know I made that joke, but I'm going to keep doing it because it's a good joke. But
yeah. So, but yeah, that's literally how they ended that episode, and we're getting ready to jump on into the next. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and get on into the next episode. And the next episode is titled The Ancient Poké Ball. So, if you remember in the last episode, because it was just a few seconds ago, Corviknight was going in and flying in at Liko, and Liko was like, "Oh my gosh, it's about to take my pendant away." And her pendant starts shining and saves her again, and all of a sudden Roy's Pokeball starts flashing as well, and they're like, "Oh my god, my pendant's flashing, the Pokeball's flashing, what's going on?" And the shield goes away from around Liko, and this is where Freed and Charizard are trying to fight, but the Zur and Kanya come over to stop them, and they kick up a windstorm in front of Charizard to where Freed can't get away. And Amethio is like, "You know what? Since you're not going to hand over that pendant to me, Liko and Roy, it's time that we have a Pokemon battle." So here we go. Beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. So freaking cool. And he sends out his Ceruledge. And Ceruledge versus Fuecoco and Sprigatito. Not a fair fight at all, Doug.
No, even 2-on-1. Like I say, all together, Fuecoco and Sprigatito might get to level 10.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you think about it, what was your Pokemon when you first got it? 5?
5. And if you won your first Pokemon battle, they're level 6.
So let's be generous and say that Sprigatito is 6, maybe 6.5.
No, Sprigatito has had a little bit of training. I would say Sprigatito would be between 8 and 9 at this point.
Okay. But Fuecoco's wild, essentially, right?
Essentially, but remember, Fuecoco did have that long episode of just training, and it trained with Pikachu.
Okay, and I guess it's been watching Charizard
for quite some time, yeah. So and it learned Ember, so it has to at least be at level 7 or 8, because I think that's when it learns Ember. So yeah, they're about the same. So basically, if you combine them, they'd be at 16 and they'd be ready to evolve into their second form. Correct. Yes.
But unfortunately, Pokemon math doesn't work like that. So this Ceruledge is about to have a field day.
Yeah, it is, because Sprigatito does Leafage and Fuecoco does Ember, and Ceruledge just cuts it away out in thin air. It's just like, nah.
Doesn't even flinch.
And it's at this point, it starts using Psycho Cut. And it hits Fuecoco and it hits Sprigatito, And Amethio
They
is
should be dead.
yeah. And Amethio is like, this battle is so pointless. Just hand over the damn pennant and we'll stop all this. But that's not what happens. Fuecoco and Sprigatito are like, yeah, we may have gotten knocked down, but we're still here to battle. And they go in there and they're still running in, but frickin' Amethio tells Cerulean to use Phantom Force, and this move is badass. So
yeah, it is.
So it literally like disappears into the ground, comes up, and just gives each of these Pokemon one chop, whack, whack. And it's at this point they're running in there and they're like, oh my god, we got to go help our Pokemon. And then the pennant starts flashing again. The Pokeball starts flashing. And Amethio's like, another fucking barrier. What is going on here? And and then out of nowhere, Roy's Ancient Poké Ball opens up, spirals all the way into the air, and you see a big beaming light just come out of the clouds, and out comes a shiny Rayquaza.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el Jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
I thought this old Pokeball was empty, but that Pokemon was in it!
Pika? Is that a black Rayquaza?
What is that one? I've never seen it.
That makes two of us.
And the surprises keep coming.
And that's where we get the Rotom Dex entry, because Lico's like, what kind of Pokemon is that?
Rayquaza, the sky-high Pokemon, a dragon and flying type. It has lived for hundreds of millions of years in the ozone layer. When it flies at night, it resembles a shooting star.
Rayquaza?
This gives Freed and Charizard a way out because everyone's looking at Rayquaza, so he's able to fly through on Charizard. And Freed comes running over to Roy. He's like, what the hell is that? And what is going on here, Roy? And Roy's like, I don't know. It just came out of this Pokeball. And I'm going to hand this part over to you. I'm not going to take all the fun, brother.
Yeah, how the heck is Roy supposed to know what's going on? He thought this whole time he thought the Pokeball was empty.
Yeah.
So Roy tries to call Rayquaza back because, I mean, that's, the natural. You'd think, okay, well, he came from the Pokeball. He must go back into the Pokeball. Yeah, Rayquaza's like, yeah, we're not playing this game that way.
It literally spurts out a meteor shower all over the field.
And, I mean, so they're kind of sitting there and they're like, oh my god, this friggin' flying snake is going to kill us. And he friggin' disappears.
Yep.
And Lico's sitting there like, that was intense. And she kind of goes over to Sprigatito, and Sprigatito's like, this is bullshit. I need to learn more than one attack. Roy collapses, and he's too dumb to be scared. So he's like, that was fucking awesome. And
the explorers kind of run away as well. They tell Amethio, it's not safe here anymore. We need to leave. And Amethio's like, fuck. So they leave.
And we go back and we kind of see a chill scene of some water Pokemon in a rock rough playing with a Shelder rather, and Shelder gets pissed and
he's like, I'm gonna clamp on top of you.
And freaking Murdoch comes around and goes, "Oh, what's the matter, Rocker Rough? Trying to turn into a slow bro or a slow poke?" And I was like, "It's funny. I get that. I get that reference." And freaking Orla's like, "I don't think that's gonna happen." And she thought,
oh, sorry,
Orla's kind of floating on her Metagross, and she's like, "Well, I thought this little ship was done for, but I'm happy to be proven wrong." And then we see
the grandpa of the ship. He found the tracking device.
Well, he and Quaxley found it, and Quaxley's freaking out because that thing's not in a place where it's supposed to be. Because as we know, Quaxleys are very focused on order.
Yep.
And then we get another Nido Thing video
talking about rare Pokemon,
which is very apropos, obviously, because we were just graced with the presence of shiny Rayquaza. And let's see.
Nido Thing basically says that there's rare Pokemon in every single area or every single region of the world, and most people can only catch these legendaries in their dreams.
I mean, I played Pokemon seriously through Ruby and Sapphire generation, and I think I was lucky enough to catch an Entei one time.
So you never caught a Raikou or a Suicune?
No.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, not without a cheat anyway.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, the Entei was literally a random. I was just messing around in the grass one day, and thank heavens I had a Master Ball, because otherwise it would have just been a bunch of Great Balls. I don't think that would have done it, because those legendaries ran.
No, they don't run. You can battle them. You're either going to kill them or they're going to destroy all of your Pokemon, but they don't run.
Oh, I thought they ran.
Oh, actually, you know what? You're right. Entei knew Roar. And if you only had one Pokemon, or if you were down to your last Pokemon and it used Roar, it would scare your Pokemon to run away, and then he would run away as well, and you would not have another chance to catch it.
Right. So I just happened to have a Master Ball, and I was like, I'm not even messing with you.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, so we pull out from the Nido Thing video, and we see that Roy and Liko are watching it on her phone, and they're like, "Do you think that's what Rayquaza was?" And I'm sitting there going, "No shit." And but of course, I have to sit here and say no shit because I have the benefit of hindsight. They're just kind of going through it.
Yeah, they're living it.
And we see that Roy still has the Pokeball, because why wouldn't he? Liko's like, they're kind of sitting there like, well, what do you suppose, we do? And Freed's kind of sitting there, and the Elder comes over and he's got some tea, and Freed still doesn't believe that the Rayquaza came out of the Pokeball, even though they were all standing there.
Yeah.
And it's not like Roy could just pull a Rayquaza out of his ass. I mean, talk about a severe colonoscopy.
And they said that the black Rayquaza, when talking to the Elder, used to travel with an ancient adventurer. So it is known that it was captured, but that it was with a very strong trainer. And they ask why it came out of Roy's Pokeball, and he's like, you know what? I ain't got a clue. And they're like, oh, some story lays flat.
They do, yeah. They do the freaking the anime, everyone faints and they all just collapse on the table. And the elder's like, I found that Pokeball on the beach when I was a kid. And it was, and, Roy asked if he could have it and I gave it to him, Who would have thought that Pokemon would have been inside?
Yeah, for real.
We get a close up look of the Pokeball. It does look dope.
I want to know what kind of Pokeball that is. The Ancient Pokeball.
I was gonna say it's got to be an ancient ball or something. And the elder sitting there, he's like, I thought the whole Rayquaza thing was a myth. And Roy again is too dumb to know what's going on, so he's just sitting there going, "This is fucking sweet."
Liko gets the bright idea of showing her pennant to the elder as well, and is like, "Would you happen to know anything about this?" And he's like, "I don't know anything about fine jewelry." She's like, "Oh, okay." So
what is this? And what is this guy good for? Well, some kind of elder he is. He's got no idea about nothing.
I know, but Freed gets up from the table. He's like, "You know what? These are there's too many I don't knows going on, and I need answers." So he's like, "We're gonna go find out some answers about this Pokeball and about this pennant." And Roy is like, "But Rayquaza flew away, like really far away." And that's when Freed gets a call on his phone, and we're told that Fuecoco and Sprigatito are in good health. They are fully healed. So that's when they start running back over to the I was about to say Pokemon Center. Back over to the Rising Volt Tackler ship. So I'm going to hand this part over to you.
So we see Fuecoco sitting there, and he's looking at the berries from the other day because they're still on that stool. How they're not mushy yet, I don't know. I guess it's a cartoon. And Charizard comes up and he's got a Pokeball in his mouth. And he sets it down next to Fuecoco. And Fuecoco's like, "Are you trying to tell me what I think you're trying to tell me?" And Charizard's like, "I think you know what I'm trying to tell you." And Roy comes running up and he's calling for Fuecoco. He's out of breath. And he's like, "I got something I really want to say." And Liko's like, "I really got to work on my cardio. This is ridiculous." And Roy's like, "I don't want to ever say goodbye. I enjoy singing with you and battling with you."
Fuecoco! I've got something I want to say to you, pal! Hey, Roy! I don't want us to say goodbye! I want us to stay together forever! I want to keep singing songs with you and battling with you, and you're the only Pokemon who's ever made me feel this happy! Sprigatito! Hey, you! I'm so glad you're doing better. Fuecoco? Will you please be my partner, Pokemon?
He spits out the Pokeball, which I don't even want to know.
It has to, that Pokeball has to be slimy.
And if this was Ash, Roy would say, "Do you want me to do what I think you want me to do?" But since it's the beginning of the series, Roy kind of has to paint with a broader brush. He's like, "Do you want me to use this Pokeball to catch you?" Like, no shit.
No shit, Roy. Come on.
And he's like, "So does that mean you want to be my partner too?" And Fuecoco's like, "Well, I had a talk with Charizard, and he made me see a few things." And they basically have their Ash Ketchum moment where an antagonist of a series gets a Pokemon without even doing anything, and frickin' Roy makes a frickin' meal out of capturing him. He's like doing like deep breaths and shit. And he's like, Fuecoco.
Well, come on. I mean, it's like getting your first pet, or you're getting a new pet, and you know you're gonna love this pet. And he's taking a deep breath and he's taking in the moment.
Just viewing the scenery. And he friggin' winds up and he throws the Pokeball and frickin' Fuecoco has to jump up and meet it. So Fuecoco did most of the work. And it does the customary 3 shakes, and it's captured, and he immediately throws him out because, you know, now that the symbolism's done. But this is where I had a question, and I made note of this to ask this when we got here, or roughly around here.
Yes.
So we saw a couple episodes ago that Roy's in school.
Yes.
In some form of school.
Correct.
So he is trying to be a trainer, right?
Yes.
And I was confused because in the first episode when we saw Liko get Sprigatito, when Sprigatito came out of the Pokeball, her Rotom phone spoke up and said Sprigatito has been registered.
Yes.
When Roy caught Fuecoco, we didn't get that. Is that because we weren't on the ship and we didn't have Wi-Fi? Like, what's going on?
Maybe he didn't have his phone with him. I don't know.
Well, I guess he is an irresponsible kid, so I guess.
So, but yeah, he probably just didn't have it with him, or something of the variant. It's probably on the ship or whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I personally, I think there's so much to these episodes that I think we're going to get a movie one day reflecting on these first few episodes, like how we did with the original series. And you know how they put like, what was it? The Power of All, or whatever the name of that movie was that we did, where it was essentially the first like 5 or 6 episodes of Ash going through the Kanto region, but it was like a more in-depth movie in regards to it. I think we're going to get more of that at some point for Horizons.
Okay.
At least I would hope so.
I would hope so.
So
we have that heartwarming. That's about right. We have that heartwarming moment, and you know, Liko's like, oh, they found each other. Isn't that so nice? And, you know, they're happy. And, you know, Freed's like, you know, you're going to be a real Pokemon trainer now that you have a Pokemon. And, you know, you have to take care of each other and all that. You know, basically the conversation, like you said, that you would have with somebody when they got a pet.
Yep.
And Fuecoco, or Roy, is like, well, Fuecoco, now I suppose we have to say goodbye to everybody. And Fuecoco's like, to hell, we're saying goodbye. But Liko's like, well, you know, it might be time to make that first step. And Roy's sitting there, he's like, what's Grandpa going to think? And I'm sitting there going, I think your grandfather would be packing your bags for you.
Which we find out just happened. Grandpa wasn't playing around, because that's literally the next scene. Because
he's like, oh,
it's Fuecoco's dream to become even stronger, and I want to find out about that black Rayquaza. And Grandpa's like, here's your bag.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Children's Dimetapp knows the sick day struggle is real. But it doesn't have to be. When sickness strikes, Children's Dimetapp works safely and quickly to relieve cough and other cold symptoms. And your kiddos won't run from its yuck-free sweet grape flavor. Trusted by parents for over 50 years. Children's Dimetapp, your stress-less sick day solution. Use as directed.
Here's a little bit of fold money, you know. And, you know, he has his mission statement, and, you know, he's like, I'm going to be a trainer. And then, like you said, he literally has his bag behind his back, and he puts it down, and it's all packed. And, Grandpa's like, well, I had always kind of felt that this day would come, and I'm glad that it's finally here. And quite frankly, I want to turn your room into a rec room anyway. And basically, you know, we get kind of a, you know, not so sappy of a goodbye, because I think Roy's incapable of that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we get the clear picture that Roy is going to essentially hit the ground running, and he's not going to forget about tracking down Rayquaza.
And then we get the explorers.
That's my official report.
Why did you feel compelled to act alone?
It was my decision. I take full responsibility.
I can't say I'm surprised, Amethio. How do you expect to serve Master Gibeon by failing so miserably? And to suffer such a defeat in a Pokémon battle?
I would not have lost if Rayquaza hadn't gotten in the way.
Ah, yes, of course. The, Rayquaza that you say you saw.
Do you doubt my word?
That's enough, you two. Don't forget where you are standing.
Spinel, I want you to follow them now.
I shall personally place the pendant in your hand.
Amethio, you are relieved of duty.
Your work is done here. Why don't you go rest up while I go do what you could not?
And then they end the voice call, and Amethio walks into the hall and he punches the wall and out of anger. And that's when Kanya comes over and she's like, what is going on? I heard that someone has your new task. And he's like, yeah. He's like, and so do we. We are going to find that Rayquaza. And Zur and Kanya are like, wait, what? And Amethio's like, it's the key. We need to finally understand this resonance. And he starts walking down the hall, and Zur and Kanya are like, oh crap, what is going on here? And we end the episode back on the sandy beach where Roy is getting ready to come up onto the ship. Everyone's getting ready to say their goodbyes on the island to Roy. And Freed realizes how clumpy or what's the word? How clumsy Roy is. And and Freed is even like, yeah, we're gonna have some more entertaining things on this ship now, aren't we? And that's when Roy pulls out of his bag the folded up flag for the ship, and Freed's like, that's our flag. He's like, you found our flag. And he's like, yeah, it washed up onto the shore. And he's like, our flag is what caused us to find you and to find Fuecoco. He's like, this flag is amazing. And Roy's like, you know what? They say that you find the best treasure after a storm, and I found you, Fuecoco. Aw. And that's when Freed's like, I have your first task, Roy. You're going to raise this flag on the ship. So he goes and he raises the flag. And that's when we see all the villagers saying goodbye to Roy. And Roy is looking over at his grandpa. His grandpa's giving him a stone face. He's like, have fun. And then Roy's like, oh, I'm going to cry. He's like, I'm going to be back one day, guys. So he's not even giving a time frame as to when he'll be back. He'll be back one day. And him and Liko look out into the ocean at the nice sunset. Roy's like, man, I've seen the ocean every day, but I've never seen it like this. I've never noticed how really big it is. And he's like, you just wait, Rayquaza. I'm gonna find you. And Liko's like, yeah, me too. And then they just start laughing and they soar off into the sunset. And that is the end of this week's episodes. Great two-parter, bro. And
great two-parter. I mean, the last 2 minutes of this one specifically was kind of meh, but
what do you mean? It had we got a big update with the explorers.
Well, no, I said the last 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Getting Roy on the ship and stuff.
Pokemon needs those they love their goodbyes.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know if he's wearing clean underwear. We always knew if Ash was.
Yeah, because his mother said, I packed you clean underwear.
We don't know if Roy's wearing clean underwear. He might be going commando.
Yeah. But
yeah, great cliffhanger going from 5 to 6. Cool to actually see Roy officially catch Fuecoco. Awesome to see the shiny Rayquaza come out of the Ancient Poké Ball.
Yep. What would you give these episodes? I think myself, I would give them probably a solid 4.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I mean, even if I liked episode 6 just a little bit more than 5, I think they would even out to a 4. So yeah, I'm with you on that aspect.
Okay, cool. All right, but I think it's time for us. We can get ready to sign off. Don't forget, everybody, if you were listening to this episode is not ending the way that it normally does because we have a nice little surprise for you at the end of this.
Yeah, so don't just be cutting the show off because they're into the last 2 minutes and they're not doing the codes.
Yeah, so go ahead and we're gonna play for you a nice little trailer here for you, and then after the trailer I'm gonna go ahead and give away those Pokemon trading card game codes for you, so you're still gonna get both of those codes at the end of this episode. So go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Professor Chris G telling all of you we will see you again next week, where we will give you more details as what you're about to hear right now. Doug! Guess what?
What's the matter? What?
I finished the project.
Not Project X.
Yeah, it's finished, bro.
No kidding.
And you know what? I think it's finally time that our audience hears a little snippet of what's to come.
Ooh.
You ready? Here, I'm going to play it right here. Ready?
Oh boy.
I still don't know how many Pokemon inhabit this world, but I do know that I'm gonna catch them all.
Pokemon Adventures, the audio drama, coming this summer.
That's it?
Yeah. Coming this summer. Thank you guys for waiting until the end of this episode for 2 Pokemon Paradox Rift codes for your Pokemon trading card games. So this week we are giving away 2, and the codes are 6BVK7Z4B69VRK. Next one, 6 B X C X J L W X V Q 7 Q. Those are your codes this week, and just like I said in the beginning, we will see you again next week.